Good morning. Good morning. What is going on, everybody? Monday, January 26th, 8 a.m. Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show, being a part of the channel. Shout out to everybody that's hanging out on this Monday morning. We got a lot to hit on. Got a lot of different topics to get to. Busy weekend in sports. Only one game for the Lakers. You know, a lot of times we're hit with a Friday and a Sunday. That's not the case here. Just one game on a Saturday. I think Lakers, what was it, last week? They played the 5 games in 7 nights. So a little bit more chill this weekend, a little bit more that we can hit on. But that doesn't mean there's any shortage of Laker topics or anything like that. So I appreciate you guys being here. We'll get a quick rundown of what we got going on for the show. I'll try to read as many comments as I can before we get started, and then we'll get the show started. So again, thank you for being a part of the show and hanging out here. Please subscribe to the channel if you guys don't mind. Let's give everyone a quick rundown of what we got going on. First off, hope you're enjoying your cup of coffee. A lot of coffee this weekend. Let me tell everybody that. Kind of like my new thing now. Everywhere I go, I'm like, where should I get a cup of coffee? Probably not the most financially fit decision there. All right, let's give everyone a quick rundown of what we got going on for the show. Can a man take a sip of his coffee? Jesus, give me a second. All right, Lakers, at least a couple of these main topics that I want to hit on here as we kind of give a quick rundown here. A couple things stand out to me. Obviously, we'll hit back on Lakers and the Mavs a little bit over the weekend. I got a couple kind of storylines from that game. Lakers and the Mavs. Lake show a little bit all over the place at times. I know that. I think that just kind of comes with the territory of the Lakers. But looking at how drastic some of their quarters are, Luka only taking 15 shots, and I got some sound here that JJ wanting him to pass the ball more. If you guys remember that challenge that he had against Luka after that Clippers game, we'll talk about that. Rui was clutch. And then there's conversations about Rui open to coming off the bench. I want to spend some time on the importance of Rui Hachimura for the Lakers and what it exactly means if he does want to come off the bench and he's okay with coming off the bench. Got a couple other things in regards to, I'll stay on the Luka topic. There was a good article in The Athletic that talked about building around Luka. That's the strategy for the summer. And that Lakers are going to kind of take a little bit of a piece of what the Dallas Mavericks did and how they did it. And I got to be honest with everybody, I feel like there's going to be a lot of patience coming from the Lakers in regards to building around Luka. And maybe fans are okay with that. Maybe they're not. To be honest with you, it's why fans don't run an NBA franchise or an NBA team or any type of team. Ownership's got to know what they're doing. And I think that's the right strategy. So we'll hit on it. Brian Windhorst, when we finished the show on Friday, Kevin Gray was on, who is really, really good, covers the Dallas Mavericks. But when we finished the show on Friday, there was a little bit more chatter and a little bit more conversation in regards to LeBron's future. I know Shams had something out there with Pat McAfee, and then we got some more from Brian Windhorst. We'll talk a little bit about, LeBron's future and what that ultimately looks like. There's a couple more angles to take from that article that came out from the Buss family last week. I want to spend a little bit of time on that. Ton of NBA news, weekend recap. Today is also the 6-year anniversary of the tragic helicopter crash. Obviously, Kobe, Gigi, and a number of other individuals that passed away on this day 6 years ago. So we'll as at least for me, I could give you guys a little bit of what I was doing, where I was, what ended up happening. I ended up doing, I think, 5 hours of radio that day, something along those lines. So we'll hit on that as well. All right. I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you for being a part of the show. Almost ready to get the show started. I want to look at a couple of comments here before we get started and then go from there. Buenos dias, Slee. Good morning, my brother. Please keep Rui off the bench. Okay. It's a good little mention there. Let's see what else we have here. We got Seahawks fans that have made the chat. Rams choked it up. Everybody's already ready to talk the NFL. I will say this. That was a really, really good NFL game yesterday. That was a really, really good. So drastic between the two, right? You got Denver and New England where it's just everybody just kept punting. And then you got this game By the way, yeah, that weather. I mean, what do you want these people to do? They're basically playing in a tornado. And then you got Rams Seahawks yesterday. That was just phenomenal. All right. We got all these. These will, I'm sure, be coming in throughout the day. So, obviously some RIPs there. Black cup of coffee this morning. That's where I'm going as well. Morning Slee, coffee it up, 100%. And those are a perfect amount of comments to kind of get the show started. All right, let's get started. Thank you very much for being here, like I said. And as always, if you can please subscribe to the channel, would greatly appreciate that. Okay, so Lakers over the Mavs on, remember the day here, on Saturday. There are so many, like, emotions. Emotions isn't the right way to put it, but Lakers are so all over the place in a 48-minute game. It's tough to really understand and describe what the hell I'm watching, because I could watch the Lakers, and I think this has kind of been the case for the Lakers clearly these last couple of weeks, but the good thing is it's led to wins for them. But I could watch the Lakers in the first quarter go up by 9 and drop 37. I could see them at halftime up by what were they up? 13, I want to say, at the half. And you could have this feeling about the Lakers like, oh man, they're looking good. They're in good shape. The defense is on point. They looked energized in this game, whether it's the main guys that are playing well or it's bench players that are stepping up, whatever the case is, right? They're all over the place. They can have moments where they look really, really good. Everybody looks involved. Everybody looks interested. And then they could have the third quarter where they get outscored by 19 in one quarter and then eventually find themselves down by 15 against the Dallas Mavericks with 6-7 minutes left to go in the game. Then they could turn it back on again. All of a sudden, they're locking down on defense. Guys are hitting big shots. They're getting stops when they need to. And they can squeak out a win by 6 in Dallas because they outscore the Mavs by 14. The team's all over the place. And I guess, part of the question maybe is, and listen, Saturday night was not a good win. Saturday night was you have to win. You can't lose to the Dallas Mavericks. I don't care that they've won 4 games in a row. I don't care that they're playing a little bit better basketball. I don't care. They're still missing a ton of players from an injury perspective. They're super young. They shouldn't be hanging with you when you're desperate and trying to get back to 10 games over 500 in the Western Conference. But for me, watching that game on Saturday night, it's kind of a great example of what the last couple of weeks has been like for the Lakers. They have games where they look good against Charlotte early on. They end up getting their asses kicked. They struggle against Toronto early on. They end up coming back and winning. They are down 26 to the Clippers. They come all the way back, make it a 2-point game. Can't hold on at the end. They're all over the place. They're everywhere. And I think everybody would agree with that. I'm not breaking news or anything like that. But all Saturday night's game was just another one of those games where you're like, you better freaking beat the Mavs. And they did. Now, how they typically get to the end result of winning, granted, that piece is a little bit all over the place. That piece you're probably not all that comfortable with. But they got the W. You can move on from it. I think some of the lessons or some of the things that you can take away from it, their highs are actually pretty high. And their lows, the hope is that they're a little bit more manageable with some of those lows. Where they can just, find different ways to, okay, if we eliminate this, eliminate that, a little bit more energy here, a little bit of execution here, then we don't have to go through such of these, these high of highs and these low of lows. Because when they look good, they look pretty good. They don't look bad. Now, granted, I know some of the teams that the Lakers have been facing, these are not the teams you would face to get to the Western Conference Finals or get to the NBA Finals, but you still got to win these games. And I think Saturday night was just another really, really good example of how the Lakers they're all over the place. They really genuinely are all over the place. Okay, couple things stood out from the game that I want to have a little bit of a conversation about. First one here, I got some sound that I want to play from the post-game show, okay? And this one is specific about Luka. So I don't know if you guys actually saw Luka's point totals during this game, but shot totals during this game. So Luka ended up taking 15 shots is all he ended up taking. And I was actually praising this during the post-game show. I kind of kept talking in my own head. I was saying to myself, I'm like, he only took 15 shots. Wait a minute. I kind of like that. I've bitched and complained a little bit that I think Luka takes too many shots or too many tough shots. And after the Lakers played the Clippers, JJ challenged Luka about, you got to pass the ball more. Listen to Luka here talking a little bit about maybe you could say his adjustment from one game to the other against Dallas. Take a listen.
Sorry, post game after the Clippers, JJ was pretty pointed and said, like, we need to pass the ball more. And you're the player that has the ball the most. Did you take that as a challenge, and how did you feel tonight as a passer and the way your teammates responded?
Yeah, I mean, everybody had a great game. The ball was shared with 15 shots up. So take the JJ's point.
Listen, I'm not telling you that this is going to be easy for Luka. I'm not telling you that, Luka is going to walk into games and say, the Lakers are better off if I take less shots. And by the way, listen, you can make an argument. If somebody wants to sit here and make out the Lakers are idiots and so is JJ, he should be taking 25 to 30 shots a game. You can make that argument. But what I would tell you is, and this is the point that I've been trying to make here for the last, I would say, month or so. Everybody knows ISO basketball, that's not going to do anything for you. ISO basketball is not going to get you to the Western Conference Finals. ISO basketball is not going to beat the Spurs, the Rockets, the Denver Nuggets, the Oklahoma City Thunder. Hell, it might not beat the Phoenix Suns and the Minnesota Timberwolves. So ISO basketball is not the answer for the Lakers. Now, it's a tough one for Luka because you look around this team, and if you look at the way the Dallas Mavericks were built around Luka, everything complemented Luka. Well, this roster doesn't exactly complement Luka. But what I will say is, for me, I think that was a great sign to see Luka have a little bit more trust in some of his teammates. You saw a couple of his guys came through, whether that was Marcus Smart, whether that was Rui Hachimura. I mean, you can pick which players had their moments in the game on Saturday against the Dallas Mavericks. But I thought that was interesting. Seeing Luka only take 15 shots, I actually think that's a low count for Luka. But what you don't want to see is Luka 8 for 25 from the field. What you don't want to see Luka, now he got to the free throw line, so that obviously has a lot to do with why his shot total was so low. But what you don't want to see from Luka is forcing shots, taking bad shots, not having any confidence in any of his other teammates, because here's the reality. They're either going to live and die by the team trying to win together, or they're going to literally die by one player trying to carry the team. We know that's not a sustainable, good game plan for, obviously for the long term. So I thought that piece was interesting from the game. The Luka piece, taking 15 shots, and obviously Luka addressing it after the game. Here's another interesting piece for me. Rui. So when Rui was out, I think a lot of people just, I don't know. I don't think there was a lot of conversation about Rui missing games. Most of the conversation has always been about, well, Austin Reeves is out. Let's kind of not forget here, Rui is a starter. I'm not telling you Rui is I'm not telling you he's a franchise player. I'm not telling you that he's the most unbelievable player to ever represent the purple and gold, but he's got some value to the Lakers. I think that part is safe to say. I don't think anybody needs to, that's not shocking news or anything. Rui's got some value. There was an article that came out, and most of this was from the post game, after the game, after the Lakers ended up beating the Dallas Mavericks. And Lakers don't win that game without Rui Hachimura, period. I mean, Rui hit some clutch big shots towards the end. He hits a three. He hits the and 1 for 3 as well. He had 7 points in a span. Lakers were down 5, and then they're up 2 because of Rui Hachimura. That's how they ended up winning the game. I thought this was interesting. Rui Hachimura was talking about, coming off the bench. Here's what he said. He said, a lot of people think about stats and all that, but for me, it's about winning. That's going to help us to everybody get paid. He was talking about everybody's paycheck there. And especially with this second unit, I get more touches too. I don't mind. It's more so like who's finishing the game or who's playing more. For me, that's more important. So JJ said something as well. He says he comes in, he gets his work in, he bangs out shots. Okay, I'm going to read one more quote here coming from Rui. because I think this is going to tell a little bit of how he feels about potentially playing a role coming off the bench. He says, I like my role here. The things that I like to do, I'm doing here. I just got to embrace doing whatever it takes to win for the team. So JJ had said something that he's a laser, and Lakers, trust me, over the years have not had too many players where they describe a three-point shooter as a laser. That never happens. It's usually the opposing team that has lasers. But Rui Hachimura, it seems like, is accepting a potential role off the bench for the Lakers. Okay, well, does that mean Jake LaRavia is going to stay in the starting lineup? Well, when Austin Reeves comes back, what are the changes they're going to make? We'll have to wait and see. But I think Rui, two things that are accomplished with Rui Hachimura kind of staking claim here that he's good with coming off the bench for the Lakers. Number one, it shows a player that's basically been a starter the entire time that he's been a Laker, willing to sacrifice for the team for what's better for the team. That's number one. And number two, it adds a little depth for the Lakers that they don't really have. I don't think there are many players on that Lakers bench that you could depend on, that you could rely on. If Rui's coming off the bench, that's a really nice bench player to have. And maybe the Lakers will have a little bit more depth based on when Austin Reeves comes back. Maybe they'll have even more depth based on what they do at the trade deadline. But a lot of these teams that end up competing, they have depth, they have role players. It's not all about your starting five. And like Rui was mentioning in his quote there, if I'm getting starter minutes, does it really matter whether I'm a starter or not? And he closed out the game, had 8 rebounds, hit a couple of big shots. So I thought that was an interesting wrinkle of the game coming up from Saturday, that Rui's basically saying, you need me to come off the bench, then I'll make it happen. And for Rui, listen, it is a contract year for him. It's obviously a very important year. I'm sure there's more that he wants to do individually so that he can get paid in the future. But for the Lakers, to have that option of Rui coming off the bench and there's no bitching and complaining, that's obviously important for Rui, and that's important for the Lake Show. Okay, I'm going to start looking at a couple of the comments here. So we'll do that here in just a second. Before I do, let's give a shout out. A couple of our partners here that we have. Let's start out with Harrah Resort SoCal. If you're looking for a getaway, you want one of those staycations, you're somewhere between, and you're living in Southern California, you're an hour to 2 hours away from Harrah Resort SoCal, depending on where you live. They're located in the Palomar Mountains, North San Diego. Really, really beautiful resort. I try emphasizing this all the time. If you're looking to get away, if you're looking, you want to take a little family trip, or you got your partner, couple, friends, whatever the case is, whatever your scenario is. Trust me when I tell you, you can book a great couple of days at Harrah SoCal. Over 1,000 luxurious rooms, one of the best restaurants, in my opinion, in all Southern California, Hell's Kitchen, which is Gordon Ramsay's Hell's Kitchen. I'm there on Friday. So I'm going to be doing my morning show this upcoming Friday from Harrah Resort SoCal. They have a cool little area, kind of their little sports bar area right out in the middle of the casino. They're asking me, they're like, where do you want to broadcast from? I'm like, put me in the middle of the damn casino. I want to be kind of in the thick of things. So I'm looking forward to being out there. I'm gonna hit up a show on Friday night. Andrew Santino, who's a really, really good comedian, shows you the type of talent that they have there from an entertainment perspective. So I encourage anybody, if you're looking to kind of book a trip, book some type of a getaway, don't go pay for 3 or 4 flight tickets to go somewhere. The headache of going to the airport. You got one of the best resorts in SoCal. HarrahSoCal.com to book your getaway today. Okay, shout out to them. All right, let's see what do we got here from the people. Not enough from me with the people here. Let's see what we have here. Love that mindset from Rui. I agree with you. And I think there's an appreciation from Laker fans, right? When anybody is sacrificing their own play for the betterment of the team, I think a Laker fan's like, oh, let me give Luka as an example. Sometimes you just got to take a sip of your coffee. Let me give Luka as an example. Luka taking less shots because that's better for the team. Okay, people respect that. LeBron sacrificing when Luka comes to the Lakers. LeBron had a quote. See if I could find this here real quick. I know I got it in my rundown. LeBron had a quote about basically that here's what LeBron said. I'm going to just give this as an example because, again, it's a sacrifice. Post-game after the win over the Mavs, LeBron, what did he say? I think the biggest thing this year, it's just more comfortable. He's talking about Luka, understanding the system, understanding the city embracing him, understanding that this is his team. We're all rallying around him. Everyone's kind of sacrificing a little bit here. So you talking about you love the mindset from Rui. I agree with you, and I'm sure there's a lot of Laker fans that appreciate that as well. Rui won us that game on Saturday. Don't disagree on that. Let's get some more in here. Find a couple more in here. I know there was a couple. It's all lack of effort on D, lazy team. You're not lying there. I mean, when they decide they're not interested, my God, they let you know that they're not interested. I was using the analogy on Saturday. I'm like, there are times where they put their foot on the gas and there's no stopping them. And then there's other times where they park the car, they put the keys in their pocket, they go for a walk, and they're like, we'll see you in 15 or 20 minutes. They grab a cup of coffee and they come back and they're like, okay, now we're ready to play again. So you get a little bit of extremes on both sides of those. Playoffs will show us Rui's real value. Fair. But I don't mind a playoff run with Rui. I think Rui, honestly, I don't think the moment is big for him. I don't really look at Rui as a player that the moment will intimidate him. Now, if you said D'Angelo Russell, we saw that. There's going to be some people here that are like, yeah, but Slee, what about Austin Reeves? Okay, if we need to see another playoff run with Austin Reeves, that's fair. That's fine. But I'm not too concerned from a Rui perspective from a postseason, looking at the postseason. Let's get one more in here, and then I want to get into our next topic. Lakers are very good at finding ways to win games when committed. At the same time, they're very good at letting teams go on mad runs with no answer. And listen, if that's your team, you obviously have a ceiling that's not going to be competing for a chance to really compete in the Western Conference. So for me, I've kind of accepted that realization that that's the reality of what the Lakers are. Doesn't mean it can't change. Doesn't mean they can't add some pieces to it. Doesn't mean they can't get healthy with Austin Reeves and be a real headache in the playoffs, but you can't have those wild swings, which is a little bit of what the Lakers have had. Good comments, by the way. I appreciate you guys lobbing in a lot of these comments. So thank you very much for doing so. All right, let's keep moving on here. There's still a lot of other topics that I want to get into, so let's keep moving here. So there was an article, and this was the Lakers' plan around Luka. I got the next two topics I want to hit on. I think they're very, very relevant here, and it's always kind of trying to figure out, well, what are the Lakers going to do today? And how are they going to build around Luka, but still kind of be as effective as they possibly can right now? So the Athletic had an article out there, and they're talking about kind of the Lakers' strategy. Let's see if I can open this up here. Talking about the Lakers' strategy. Refuses to open. Just refuses. Okay, there we go. Talking about the Lakers strategy, kind of what their idea, what their concept is going to be, how they build properly around Luka. I had a really good conversation. I'm going to actually try to post some pieces of it because I still think it's very relevant. Kevin Gray, who came on the show and covers the Dallas Mavericks, and he was talking about how the Dallas Mavericks built around Luka. What did it look like? What was their strategy? Why they added certain guys? What are some of the areas, the deficiencies that they had around Luka that they were able to address? And, you know, it didn't happen overnight. The Dallas Mavericks needed time to kind of figure out what they needed to do. But in this article, there's one piece of this that I think really, really stands out to me. And I think this will probably continue to make me think, okay, this is new ownership starting to put their fingerprints in. Here's what one of the quotes said. Lakers sources have referenced the time it took for Dallas to build out its most optimized rosters around Luka. And some around the team believe the real work will happen in the summer when the Lakers could have as many as 3 first-round picks to use in trades to improve the roster. Okay, so let me just kind of balance this out real quick with everybody. And I think this is, obviously a good conversation to have. Everybody wants the Lakers from a fan perspective. There's a lot of conversations. Hey, trade Austin Reeves right now. Okay. that's one strategy, right? Get rid of LeBron as fast as you can. All right, we'll see what happens with LeBron. We'll have that conversation. There's some, I thought, interesting stuff over the weekend with Shams and Brian Windhorst that we can reference and we can get into. People want to speed up the process as quick as they can around Luka. And I get it. People are going to say, Al, but it's the Lakers. And if they're not competing for a championship, that's what a franchise does with 17 NBA championships. They got to compete every single year. All right. I understand that. If somebody wants to make an argument and say Luka's 26 years old, he's walking into his prime right now. You can't afford 2 or 3 years to build around Luka properly. And because who knows what he'll be like in a couple of years. Again, I'm just making things up of why people want to speed up the process. It's fine you want to speed up the process. I understand the reasons why. But I'll also tell you that I do think good ownership, who runs any business or who runs any sports franchise, they're not going to make desperate moves to try to, they're not going to sit there and just keep watering the plant and staring at it and asking themselves, well, we got to give it more water. You're going to kill the plant. And I think there have been times with the Buss family, since Dr. Jerry Buss passed away. And I think there's a lot of franchises that are like this, but they want to speed up the process. Sometimes speeding up the process can work and it could cash you in a title. We saw the Lakers do it when they brought LeBron, traded for Anthony Davis, had a perfect roster built around those two guys with Dwight Howard, JaVale McGee, Danny Green, Avery Bradley, Kyle Kuzma, KCP, Alex Caruso. I mean, that team was stacked. And they got an NBA championship out of it. And then maybe they got a little bit too cute after that. And then they tried making trades to speed up the process again. And it seemed like there was a little bit of desperation. And then here we are sitting with the Lakers 6 years later. And I still don't think they're, competing for an NBA championship. This article to me tells me that there's ownership that understands the importance of, if you're going to build this thing, we got to build it the right way. There's ownership that understands there's steps that you can't skip along the process or along the way. And maybe, listen, they may be able to skip a couple of steps because they have 3 first-rounders. Maybe there is a moment they decide, my God, we can get a lot for Austin Reeves. Let's go ahead and trade him. But the dumbest thing I think the Lakers could do is chase their own tail this season with a very flawed roster. It doesn't mean you cannot improve the roster. I was looking at some articles today. What can the Lakers do to go get Keon Ellis? Would they have to give up a first-rounder for Keon Ellis? There are ways to still improve the roster between now and the NBA trade deadline. But if you're going to improve the roster, what you can't do is affect how you're trying to build with Luka in the future. There cannot be, the Lakers are not in a position, nor have they shown, go all in right now. What the Lakers have shown is basically, if you can get a valuable piece that will help you for the next couple of years with Luka, you should do it. But if you can't get that valuable piece that's going to help you with Luka for the next couple of years, then why are you wasting assets? And I feel like the Lakers, they've been known for this. They throw around assets like they're throwing around candy. While a lot of other teams are looking at the Lakers and saying, awesome, we'll take those assets if you don't want them. If you don't value those assets, they could be second rounders, they could be first rounders, whatever the case is. And I think after reading this article, for me, it makes me feel a little bit better because I do think the Lakers have a plan. And I think their plan is all about, how do we make Luka's life easier for the future? How do we build around Luka Doncic? And that's the only conversation and plan that really should be focused on, because if they are going to compete for an NBA championship, and that is going to happen in 2 years or 3 years or less than that or longer than that, whatever the case is, it's only going to happen because you valued every one of your assets. You weren't chasing your tail. You weren't acting out of desperation or panicking. And again, I say this, and I think there's a vibe from new ownership based off of what they do and how they do things, that they're going to take the long-term approach, and the long-term approach is typically the right approach. Your goal should be, you want to try to be in the mix every single year. Doesn't mean you're going to win every single year, but you want to. Let me give you a good analogy, and and again, this is just, let me use a sports analogy here. The Rams lost yesterday, had a chance and had some opportunities to potentially go to another Super Bowl. They weren't able to do it. Now, you can bury the Rams for losing that game yesterday, but here's what the Rams have done basically since Sean McVay has been a part of that Rams organization. They're in the mix every single year. Doesn't mean you're going to win every year. They're in the mix every single year. That's all you can kind of ask for. Things are going to go your way, some good luck, some bad luck, some injuries, some this. You just want to be in the mix every single year. And obviously building around Luka, I think, has a lot to do with that. So gives everyone just kind of a quick idea, I think, what that article said, what that article meant. And I'm not, listen, I don't want to make it sound like I'm discouraging the Lakers to go out there and make deals. I'm not. I think the Lakers, if they find a good deal, they should go out there and make it happen. But make the deal because it made sense around Luka and it has nothing to do with anything else. That's it. It's a deal for the present and the future is more important than the present. All right, let's get a couple of comments in here, and we'll see what people got to say. Let's see. Long-term approach when the West is as open as it'll ever be. You know, if I'm being honest, I don't know how open the West is. Is the West that open? I will say this. Did I see this again? Did the Thunder just lose again? The West is, I don't know what to tell you about the Western Conference. Yes, I know there's some really good teams in there. Oklahoma just lost 2 games in a row again. San Antonio 6-4 in their last 10. Houston's 5-5 in their last 10. Phoenix has lost 2 in a row. Their biggest issue is Devin Booker's injured. The Minnesota Timberwolves out of nowhere have lost 5 in a row. Minnesota was playing as good as anybody. Now they've lost 5 in a row. And they're losing against some of the teams they're losing to are teams that are below 500. So maybe the West is more open than we thought. We all know Rob is waiting for Giannis. Okay. If that's the case, then hold on to those 3 first-rounders. I think the question is either, can Austin Reeves be the second best player on a championship? I'll answer that question for you. For those that think, I value Austin Reeves too much, the answer is no question about it. No, he can't. He can't. I don't think Austin Reeves can be the second best player on a championship team. And frankly, I don't even think I hesitate on that one. And Reeves is a good player. I don't think he could be the second best player on a championship team. Let's see the other one. Or can we acquire a player in the offseason better than AR? Yeah, I mean, I think you can build a really good team around Luka, AR, and then hopefully all the other pieces, fit and match and everything else. But no, I don't think you can be a championship team with Austin Reeves as your second best player. I just don't. If I start looking at some of these championship rosters, let me just throw it out there. Is he better than Jalen Williams? No, I don't think he is. Is he better than Jason or Jaylen Brown? No, I don't think he is. I'm just looking at teams that have won championships. So, no, I don't think Austin Reeves can be the second best player on the championship team. Okay, here's somebody else here. AR could easily be a second player champion. Just need the right pieces around him and Luka. I don't agree with that. I don't think I agree with that. I mean, listen, you can have a lot of really good players. Here's what hurts AR in that conversation of could he be the second best player on a championship team? The problem is him and Luka have 2 similar of skill sets. So again, this is a very random conversation. If you told me Nikola Jokic and Austin Reeves were on the same team, at least they're 2 completely different players. The problem with AR and Luka is they're both in the backcourt and they both have the same strengths and the same weaknesses. Not identical, but I think you guys know what I'm talking about. I don't think AR could be the second best player on a championship team. That's my personal opinion there. And obviously, if you guys feel otherwise, you guys can put it in there. But that's my take on it. It would have to be a player that complements Austin Reeves. And I don't think Austin Reeves and Luka, obviously, that's not peanut butter and jelly. it's peanut butter and it's almond butter. It's like two different types of butters. It's like, okay, they're basically, they almost taste the exact same. One's a little bit more expensive. Luka would be the almond butter in this conversation. Yeah, I gotta be honest, guys. On the fly, that's not a terrible analogy. That's not a terrible analogy. All right, let's keep going here. And by the way, I'm not even sitting here saying you got to trade Austin Reeves. I think they should give Austin Reeves and Luka 1 year without LeBron and building out that roster and see what that looks like before they do anything. So I'm not even of the mindset of go trade Austin Reeves right now. I'd actually feel more comfortable with the Lakers walking into the offseason. Luka's the future. You're going to have to pay AR market price, which they will. Build everything around there. Give that 1 year and see what it looks like. Now, of course, if Giannis is demanding to come to the Lakers, then you do what you have to do. If there's another player that you felt like this is just a better fit and makes more sense, then you got to do what you got to do. I don't think you have to be married to Austin Reeves. You're married to Luka. All right, let's see what we have here. Get a couple of comments in here, and then we'll go from there. I think it might have been the best analogy I've ever put together. It might have been the best analogy that I've ever had. On the fly, guys. That was not rehearsed. I didn't read that. I have a teleprompter. It's in the back. It's in the back. You guys can't see it. Okay, let me read one or two more comments, and then I want to get into this LeBron conversation. A lot of interesting things happen in the LeBron conversation. I'll say that. If AR doesn't perform in the playoffs, he'll be a Powell type player. Powell's a great in the regular season, but disappears in the playoffs. But can I give you a great example of Norman Powell? Norman Powell is the third best player on a championship team, right? Like Norman Powell would be, he would have to be the third. He'd have to be, I'm throwing examples here. Derek White, Drew Holiday, Aaron Gordon. Like, think about the teams that compete for championships. How good is the third best player on that team? They're typically Chris Middleton. They're very, very good players. Very, very good players. Maybe for the Lakers, it was different because you had LeBron and Anthony Davis, the third best player. It could kind of be any player on any given night. These are ballers. These are really, really good players. And you basically need Austin Reeves to be your third best player if you're truly competing for an NBA championship. In my opinion, I feel like people expect Austin to be Kyrie when he's really more like Iguodala type, if that makes sense. Okay, if I use that analogy, how good was Andre Iguodala? And he was the fourth best player on that team, fifth best player when Kevin Durant came over. And sometimes it was Sean Livingston that was the fourth or fifth best player. And I don't even like using the example of the team that the Warriors had because I don't think that's a good example. That the Durant team doesn't make any sense because that team was just, what are you going to do with that? All right, let me get a quick super in here. Great point, Sliwa. You're always real for the naysayers who hate Bron in the chat. No Bron, you get no Luka. Great analysis, our number 2 player. Not a number 2 player. I appreciate it. Thank you for the super. See what happens? I give a good analogy, and somebody's like, take my cash. He's like, throw a 5 over at Sliwa. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it, and I appreciate the super. Okay, I got some more. I got a few other things that I want to get into here, and I got some sound that I want to play. Before I do, let's give a shout-out to another one of our partners, Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm. Very, very loyal to the channel. Thank you to Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm. Hope you never need a trial lawyer, an injury attorney, but things happen in life. And if something does happen, reach out to us. Let us see if we can help you. Serious injury, wrongful death case, it's you, a family member, a friend. Just you have somebody that's in the mix that can help you. WallaceWins.com/Sliwa. WallaceWins.com/Sliwa. Just go to the website. Fill out a free consultation. I'm happy to introduce anybody to Brad Wallace personally. If anybody wants me to make a connection, I'm happy to do so. He's the best in the business. He can help anybody in the state of California. and he could certainly help you out as well. WallaceWins.com/Sliwa is the website. And if you go to that website, the consultation is there, and hopefully he can help you with whatever it is that you have. So shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. Shout out to everybody also supporting our partners. Okay, I got some sound for everybody. You know, the topic about LeBron's future keeps coming up, right? Keeps coming up. The topic about LeBron's future. So let me read one quote here real quick, and then I'm going to play something from Brian Windhorst. Okay? So it's all queued up, ready to go. Let me read this quote. When I finish the show on Friday, this happens every time now. I'm walking around. I'm going for a nice walk. I'm listening to, you know, or I'm listening to some news. I'm listening to some sports, whatever the case is. Then I see this. Shams on LeBron's future. The reality is we're watching the end of a relationship between LeBron James and the Lakers. The end is near, however you want to slice it. When he retires at the end of this season, or if he signs somewhere else as a free agent, or whether he retires at the end of the season, or if he signs somewhere else as a free agent. So that's what Shams said on the Pat McAfee show. Okay. Let me play this here from Brian Windhorst, who's on with Greeny on ESPN's Get Up. Take a quick listen here. Here's Brian Windhorst talking about the future of LeBron.
This season, they have tailed off a little bit as we showed the highlights earlier this morning, but still, I think a team with a chance to do something this year. So what does LeBron's future look like right now, short term and long term?
Yeah, he's actually just got three options, and it's kind of a simple three options. The choice will be complex, but simple. He can either remain with the Lakers. He's not getting traded, okay? He's got a no-trade clause, not getting traded. He can either remain with the Lakers at a pay cut, okay? He can go to another team, which would be fascinating, and we would fill the summer with that, or he can retire. The entire league knows these three options. Coming back for the Lakers at this salary is not an option. Not because he's diminished greatly as a player, but because the Lakers have to retrofit their spending around Luka Doncic. You do not need to be Red Auerbach to know that. This is simple, basic analysis. Everybody knows it. And I think there is a reasonable chance, 33-ish%, that LeBron comes back to the Lakers on a reduced contract and they build around Luka Doncic. This is not a championship team. I'm not sure they can be a championship team next year. 2 years from now, that's possible. Could LeBron be in the NBA 2 years from now? It's possible. But I don't think that there's a lot of stress about it. I think everybody understands the situation and the challenges. And there's new owners with the Lakers. They may end up making a lot of changes. LeBron's role in the team may just be one of them.
All right. That's Brian Windhorst right there. Great stuff, obviously. That's a phenomenal clip there that kind of gives you a little bit of a scope of how the Lakers are thinking here in regards to LeBron. LeBron was a hot topic last week, right? He was a hot topic for many reasons. He was a hot topic because that article came out on the Buss family, and his name is mentioned. Is there not enough appreciation for him? That's a different conversation. And there are a lot of times that I do some of these shows, and there's some people that definitely appreciate LeBron as a Laker, and then there's plenty of other people that either don't appreciate LeBron as a Laker or are just ready to kind of turn the page and get to the next chapter and go from there. I've said this before. I'll say it again. I don't think you can put together a championship roster with LeBron and Luka. I mean, we already have, we're already having the conversation about, can you put together a championship roster with Austin Reeves and Luka? And I think that's a fair question to have. But I think the question about, LeBron's future, stay in LA and take a pay cut, leave in free agency, or retire. For me personally, the option that I never thought was an option, and I think still, as I look at this Lakers team and I compliment new ownership, even though they really haven't done anything yet, I just assume things are going to get fixed and cleaned up and everything else. Clearly, there was a reason why the Lakers weren't giving LeBron another player option for 50 and change. There was a reason for that, right? So LeBron's going to be a free agent by the time this year is said and done. Do I think LeBron knows exactly what he's going to do? Probably not. How's he going to feel? What's his body feel like? What does the roster look like? What's the playoff run that the Lakers make? Are other teams going to come after LeBron? Are the Cavs going to say, hey, whatever it takes, just come over here? does he want that farewell tour? Does he want a farewell tour? Well, why would he get that in LA? Should he get that in LA? There's a lot of questions that obviously remain with LeBron. I would say this. I would say that whatever LeBron decides, if he wants to come back and be a Los Angeles Laker, does it make sense? That's the piece that I think for new ownership. Can you truly turn the page from one era to another unless that chapter is officially closed? Well, if LeBron's still on the Lakers next season, even if he's taking a pay cut, obviously there's a lot that comes with still having LeBron on your team. And then the question just becomes, what kind of a player still is he? What if by the time next year comes, LeBron shouldn't be closing games? Is that an issue? What if LeBron isn't a starter anymore in the NBA? Is that an issue? I don't have answers for you, but what I'm saying is at the end of the day, the Lakers are going to have to make a decision, as is LeBron. If LeBron wants to stay in the league and stay as a Los Angeles Laker, is he helping you get closer to what you're trying to accomplish? Or is this kind of like, yeah, we just can't move on until LeBron is gone? It's a fair question. I mean, I'm not trying to be an a-hole or trying to kick LeBron off the Lakers or any of that stuff. If the biggest thing is, what would LeBron be making? And if we all know that LeBron would have to be taking a significant pay cut to be a Los Angeles Laker, then you could still put together the roster that you're trying to put together. But there's fair questions that come into play there. And some of those questions just have a lot to do with what type of player is he by the time we get to this season ending, and what's he going to look like next year? And for Luka too, does Luka just want a clean slate as well? What if Luka goes to the front office and says, you know what, guys, I've played with LeBron now for a year and a half. It's been awesome. It's been a great run. I just think we got to move on in order for us to officially move on. What would the Lakers do in that position? So a lot's going to happen between now and obviously the offseason, and LeBron's going to have decisions to make. But here's one thing that we know, and I think people were trying to push for this last week. It's like, it ain't happening. LeBron ain't getting traded. He's going to finish this season with the Los Angeles Lakers. And then the question is just going to become, what does LeBron want to do after that? Listen, if I'm being honest on LeBron's play, a lot of times he still looks really good. I mean, Saturday, LeBron was balling out in the fourth quarter. And that doesn't mean he was scoring on every possession. It means he was playing defense. It means he was setting the tone. It means I felt like everyone was following his lead more than anybody else's. I mean, LeBron still has a ton of value in the league. He still does. The question is, does it make sense for that value to be with the Lakers, or does it make sense for LeBron? I mean, does he want that farewell tour? Is LeBron going to eventually announce when it's time, to hang it up? We know what a farewell tour is. A farewell tour doesn't mean you're competing. Maybe there's a perfect world where he's able to do both, compete and get a farewell tour. But interesting stuff there from Windhorst. Definitely interesting stuff. Something else that I'm going to bring up here, and then I'm going to get to some of the comments and everything else. I thought Windhorst had a great thing that he said on LeBron and Jeannie's relationship. He said this on ESPN's NBA Today. So I got two quick wrinkles on that bus article from last week as well that kind of came out over the weekend. And then we'll look at some more of the comments, and then we'll start getting into some of the different NBA topics. Here's what Windhorst said on LeBron and Jeannie's relationship. Sometimes he's going to upset you, but whatever he does to upset you, you make it up for 10 times, 20 times, 50 times. That was the case in Cleveland, Miami, and now in LA. Has Jeanie been upset with LeBron at times? Absolutely. Would she give anything back about the last 8 years? Absolutely not. That's a great way to describe it. That's a good way to put it. I know people were trying to make a really, really big deal about Jeanie doesn't appreciate LeBron and this and that. I think the way Windhorst just put it, it's like your owner is going to get upset at some of your employees, but at the end of the day, would she take back any of those 8 years? The Lakers being relevant again, making the playoffs every single year again, getting to an NBA Finals and winning an NBA championship, or running the Western Conference Finals, helping bring Anthony Davis to the Lakers, Anthony Davis eventually being traded for Luka Doncic. I mean, the LeBron chip started everything for the last 8 years for the Lakers. Good, bad, ugly, however you want to describe it, but they became relevant again. And that part, I think, is I think anyone trying to make an argument that they didn't become relevant again because of LeBron, I don't know what to tell you. Rich Paul said on his podcast, part of the reason the Buss family drama article dropped when it did, let me read you a quote. It was a slow news cycle, slow news week. The way business works is you have the Lakers playing the Clippers Thursday night, so there was no trades happening around the league. This is an opportunity to drop this article that really had nothing to do with me or LeBron. So Rich Paul basically saying, yeah, that's how the business works. That's why that article came out. It was good timing for it. You know when the article didn't come out? It didn't come out Sunday morning before the AFC and NFC championship games. Still would have made some news. I'll tell you that. Still would have made some news. Okay, let's read a couple of comments. Then I got the NBA news, and then we got the weekend recap that we'll spend a little bit of time on. Let's see some of the comments here. What do we got? What are the people saying? What are the people saying? He should go back to Cleveland for the farewell tour. If I'm being honest with you, where's Cleveland in the standings now? Cleveland's 27-20, won 3 in a row, 7 of their last 10. So they're actually playing a little bit better basketball. I'm not mad at that. Plus, let's say Cleveland fizzles out in the playoffs again this year. I actually think he can go back to the Eastern Conference. I don't know if he's going to do this. He can say, this is my final year in the NBA. And he can actually help the Cleveland Cavaliers, obviously on a much more discounted rate, and see whatever they do in the offseason, make one more final run in the Eastern Conference. He can come out of the East. The East is kind of up for grabs until probably Boston comes back with all their health. But that's not a terrible idea. Would anyone be upset at LeBron if he decided at the end of this year, all right, I'm going to go back to Cleveland. I'm going to play one more year where it all started, where I'm from. And I'm going to win or lose. This is going to be it with me, and I'm going to do it in Cleveland. I don't think there'd be a soul upset at LeBron James for doing that. And I'm sure there'd be a lot of Laker fans that'd be like, go make it happen, Bron. Go see what you could do out there. They don't have a bad team. They have a pretty good team. They got a couple tradable assets as well. If you told me that's how LeBron wanted to end his career, I'm signing up for that. I'm okay with that. If you also told me LeBron wanted to make the least amount of money possible and come back to the Lakers and just play a role, I'm open to that as well. So we'll see what he ends up doing. Let's get a couple more in here. Sports media is always going to manufacture Lakers drama, always. There's only one reason why they're going to do it. Only one reason. Because you're going to click on it. That's the only reason why. And if there's a Cowboy drama article, you're going to click on that. And if there's a Yankees drama article, you're going to click on that. There's a few franchises that kind of have that power and they have that sway. So, that's they're just basically delivering what they think you guys want. LeBron Farrell will be a must-see troll fest. He'll get booed in arena. Are you kidding me? No way you write this comment and you actually believe what you're saying. I couldn't disagree more with that. I think he would get a lot of love everywhere he goes, and as he should. That's if he's playing in his 24th year in the NBA. Guys, sometimes there's just nothing you could do. You could try to have the most objective conversation, and sometimes it doesn't work. Go get a chip in Cleveland. Good luck. Now, listen, nobody's even saying that he would get a championship in Cleveland, but it would just be a realistic run, if that makes sense. Not going back to Cleveland, the pages turn. Are you sure about that? I mean, we thought that when he went to Miami, he went right back over to Cleveland, and Cleveland accepted him in a heartbeat. I would love if LeBron did one final year in Cleveland. He'll send Kyrie there too. Bring the gang back together. All right. I think we got some good stuff right there. I think we got a lot of good stuff there. Okay, let's start some NBA news. I got a few things around the NBA that I want to hit on So I appreciate you guys obviously putting in all those comments. Feel free to put them in. I'll go back to all the comments here before the show is all said and done as well. So we'll get one more round of looking at the comments. All right. Kind of crazy to think this year, but today it is the 6-year anniversary of the passing of Kobe Bryant, Gianna Bryant, John Altobelli, Carrie Altobelli, Alyssa Altobelli, Sarah Chester, Peyton Chester, Christina Moser, and Aria Zobian. The 6-year anniversary of that helicopter crash. You know, I was thinking about this today, and man, it's such a trip to go back and think about that day. I'll tell you guys a quick story. I know everybody's got their own story, so you guys can feel free to put it in the chat as well. You know, I found out I was that morning, I was actually up in Lake Arrowhead. I was working, grinding, this, that. I'm like, let me just get away for one day. Took off, went up to Lake Arrowhead. There's a church, Catholic church up in Lake Arrowhead, so I went to Mass. Took my phone, and I'm like, well, I don't need my phone going into Mass, so I left my phone in the car. So I don't look at my phone for easily over an hour, whatever the case is. I come back to my car, I look at my phone, and I just got all these messages. I got missed calls from work. I got this. I'm like, I don't know what the hell's going on. Obviously found out what was going on, in complete shock like everybody else, and end up driving down from the mountain. So I didn't stay that night there. I drive down from the mountain and eventually work my way into the studio. So going to ESPN LA. And I remember at the time, you know, Amanda Brown was the program director. So I'm talking to Amanda, and she's got people just in rotation on the station that are coming on. Travis is in, I think the Cam brothers are in. I want to say Mace was in, and everybody's kind of just, you know, going in, rolling up their sleeves. And obviously nobody's prepared for anything like this. So, you know, most of the on air that I'm doing, especially at that time, I'm doing it solo. I'm doing my Lakers talk show, whatever I was doing. Most of my stuff is solo. So I remember telling Amanda, I'm like, all right, well, why don't I just go on? Tell me when, like, I'll just go on later, and then I'll just go on for as long as you want me to go. And I think I went from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. on that day, just basically taking phone calls. People are, you know, obviously calling in, giving their stories, thoughts, opinion. Everyone is in complete shock. I remember also too, when I got to LA Live that day, there were a few people that kind of started getting together at LA Live, bringing in some flowers and this and that. Nobody knew where to go. And the next thing you know, where we were, where the station was, we had a conference room area, and that conference room overlooked the LA Live, just like that right center, Staples Center is or Crypto's in front of you, and then everything, there's just this completely open space area. 1 hour goes by and you're like, damn, there's a couple hundred people there. Another hour goes by, there's a few hundred more people. And then by the time you got to the evening, and the place was just completely blitzed with people and flowers and this, and that will still go down as one of, you know, kind of the craziest days from a career perspective, the biggest shock, whatever the case is. But 6-year anniversary today. That's a trip. That is an absolute trip. So obviously rest in peace to all those that passed that day. But I'll give you guys a little bit of that. There's no transition to go from here. There isn't any, but I'll do my best to do so. And we'll keep the show going. But like I said, I'll read some of the comments here as we get towards the end, but at least I can kind of just share a little bit of my story there. A couple NBA stories that come from the weekend. Rich Paul says it's not true that he demanded the Mavs to trade AD. Let me read the quote from Rich Paul. I know what was said. That thing was aggregated. This is the power of the internet. If you're wondering why Rich Paul has a podcast, this is part of the reason why. So basically he's saying that part of the reason why he has a podcast is so he can clarify things or reports out there that are not true or that are not real. Okay, a couple other things around the NBA here real quick. NBA postponed the Warriors and Minnesota Timberwolves game, some of the unrest that's going on in Minnesota. They ended up playing it yesterday. NBA postponements for the winter storm. Sunday, Nuggets at Grizzlies, Mavs, Bucks. So there's a lot of games because of the weather right now, pretty much from the Midwest all the way down to the East Coast. There's a lot of games that are being affected, so something to keep in mind. I know the Lakers were having a little bit of trouble getting to Chicago. They eventually got there. Lakers had some delays flying out of Dallas on Sunday due to weather, but they are in Chicago, so Lakers obviously got the Bulls tonight. I'll mention the Lakers-Bulls in a quick second. That's just going to be a quick one. I'll be doing a post-game show after that. Last thing I got, NBA news. By the way, a lot of injuries around the NBA. Ja Morant out at least 3 weeks. Giannis injuries, he's expected to miss 4 to 6 weeks. Warriors announced no timetable for Jonathan Kuminga's return after suffering a bone bruise in his left knee. That probably has more to do with Jonathan Kuminga just wanting to get traded, but a lot of key players that are going to be out. Last thing I'm going to mention here, last week was rivalry week. Can you have a rivalry week that doesn't include the Lakers and the Celtics? I saw some guy on Instagram. It was freaking hilarious. And he's got the rivalry week kind of template up that the NBA put up. And he's like, oh, man, rivalry week. I mean, who could have seen? I mean, Cleveland and Charlotte. Man, I got so many memories from the Cleveland days and the Charlotte Hornets days. If we're going to have a rivalry week, which I'm down, I think it's going to be fun. It's a good idea. Can we actually put the teams that are rivals? Does somebody want to tell me how the Lakers and the Boston Celtics are not on rivalry week? Okay, you can put Lakers Dallas. You can put Lakers Clippers. That's fine. You even put Lakers Denver. The biggest rivalry in the NBA, in the history of the NBA, is Lakers and the Celtics. I'm just saying, if we're going to have a rivalry week, you might want to put the Lakers and the Celtics in the same conversation. I think that might be a good idea. Just, a random one out there for everybody to share. Real quick on the weekend recap. So I'm sure everybody out there was watching a lot of these NFL games. 2 great games, I thought, in the NFL yesterday that were polar opposite. Now, people might say, Al, what are you talking about? How is a 10-7 game where everybody just keeps punting a great game in the NFL? Patriots and the Broncos. Patriots going to the Super Bowl. They win 10-7. It really was truly, if you're a fan of punting, this is the game. You can go back and look at the film and say, oh my God, look at this great punt in the third quarter. They could do a compilation of punts in that game. And if you're somebody that loves punts, you're probably going to watch this all day long. Here's what made that game interesting. The weather was so bad. It dictated everything. You're kicking into a tornado if you're trying to kick a field goal. Every punt was like, oh my God, can they just get the punt off? I know, not ideal. Basically, between the first half and the second half, it looked like two different games. The Broncos, I think the biggest question is going to be why, if you're Sean Payton, you don't kick a field goal to go up 2 scores, 10-0, one of the best defenses in the entire NFL, and you get greedy. You're trying to go get another touchdown. Brother, you don't need to be up 14-0. 10-0 is a great start to the game. You're at home. You got one of the best defenses in the NFL. They got greedy early, and it cost them. They end up losing the game 10-7. Okay, the other game, which was, you can't get any better than the Seahawks and the Rams. 31-27. 31-27. The Seahawks beat the Rams. I did really think this. I thought the Rams would win that game. And there were some interesting moments for the Seattle Seahawks as well. This is when I thought the Rams were going to win the game, is when they're down 11 and it's 4th and 12 and they have to punt. And the corner that gets the stop decides, you know what? I'm going to spend a little time here. I'm going to go walk over to the Rams sideline. I'm going to go run my mouth at that entire franchise and that organization, including Matt Stafford. Then I'm going to get a 15-yard penalty for unsportsmanlike conduct. And then they're going to target me on the very next play, and I'm going to give up a 40-plus yard touchdown. I'm like, Seattle's losing the game. They got I want to give credit where credit's due. And, I think this is one of those games where it was kind of up to, what is Sam Darnold going to do? Sam Darnold was great. Sometimes it's not even throwing for a touchdown. It's just getting first downs when you need to. Sam Darnold was fantastic. He was clutch. They couldn't get Stafford the ball back. By the time Stafford got the ball back, what do you have? 25 seconds, something like that. Really impressive from Seattle. So there's your Super Bowl. The Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots. Who the hell called that before the season started? So that's going to be the Super Bowl. And obviously from that perspective, something to keep in mind. All right, let's start looking at the final couple of comments here, and then we will call it a day. All right, I got to give a shout out here. 1999, a 20 spot from John Wayne. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that very much. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. Let me start off with that before I even read your comment, okay? But thank you for the super. Very kind of you to give a 20 spot there, and we'll go from there. Stop the lies. They didn't make the playoffs every year. I didn't say they make the playoffs every year. I said they make the playoffs. They don't make the playoffs. The ups and the downs. Let's keep going. They have only been truly competitive 2 of the 7 seasons. 5 were first-round exits or not even there. His tenure boils down to if you respect the bubble ring or not. Let me ask you a question. What were the Lakers doing before LeBron? What'd they do for 5 years before LeBron? I'll tell you what they did. They never made the playoffs. The team was tanking. They had no direction, no idea where they were going before LeBron got there. And this is the first time that the Buss family took over for Dr. Jerry Buss. Do you just not want to give LeBron credit? Is that just how this works? You just don't want to give LeBron credit? You can go ahead and not give the man credit. I'm going to give LeBron credit for coming to the Lakers and turning things around. I'm going to give LeBron credit for bringing Anthony Davis to the Lakers. I'm going to give LeBron credit for being a top 3 team in the year they won the NBA championship in the bubble in 2020 because they were a top 3 team. You want to give more credit, less credit, it's up to you. They won a chip in 2020. They did. Whether you like it or you don't, they won a chip in 2020. He's made them relevant. I don't know why. I don't know why we don't want to give LeBron credit. I just don't understand why nobody wants to give him credit. You don't got to compare him to Kobe. You don't got to compare him to Magic. You don't got to compare him to Shaq or Kareem or any of these other Laker greats or Jerry West. He's his own chapter in Laker history that had a lot of highs and it had a lot of lows as well. Comes with the territory. It's fine. I'm going to give him credit. If you don't want to give him credit and you're making it sound like the Lakers were killing it before LeBron got here, and then all of a sudden he got here and he ruined the franchise. The Lakers were shit before he got here. They were for 5 years. Can we not just be honest about that? They were. Guys, help yourself out here. Give him credit. It's not that hard. It's not that hard to give him credit. Just give him credit. I appreciate the 20 spot. Thank you very much for the 20 spot. I just have to disagree with you. No Lakers, Celtics, because Bron sits these. Okay, John, thank you. I mean, listen, I appreciate the supers, but I mean, kind of ridiculous comments. Get a couple more in here and then we're done. What's going on? Why is everybody now throwing money left and right? Everybody just relax here for a second. Relax here. You LeBron and haters sound so sad. Stop crying. This man came and saved the franchise. You all sound so sad. LeBron is not the greatest Laker, but he's the greatest player to put on a Laker jersey. Interesting. It's an interesting conversation there. I think you're going to start, everybody's going to start fighting with each other a little bit. You guys can feel free to go ahead and do so. I'm going to let you guys just get in a fight. All I wanted to do, I came to the bar. All I wanted to do is have a drink and have a conversation. People are throwing drinks all over the place. Okay. I think we're coming towards the end of the show. Listen, the Lakers have had a tremendous amount of success before LeBron got here. The Lakers will have a tremendous amount of success once LeBron leaves. They will. They're the Lakers. And I do think they're going to figure it out. And I do think the franchise is in the right hands now. I do. But to just pretend LeBron's tenure with the Lakers didn't have highs just takes away any part of your argument that I could sit down and have an objective conversation with. You could also say they had lows, but let's not pretend it didn't have highs. All right, my people. I appreciate it. This is a suggestion here. Slee, leave the stream up for another 10 minutes. You'll make 2 bans off the chat. People are just going to start going off each other, and they just want their stuff highlighted, so they're going to keep throwing some money out there. Fun show today, guys. I appreciate it. Did we get one more? Check the tape. You did say every year. Well, if I said every year, I meant they didn't make the playoffs every year. I mean, LeBron's first year, they didn't make the playoffs. They didn't make the year with Russell Westbrook, so it wasn't every year. If that was the case, my apologies. But I think it's safe to say they were a stock that was up and down every single year. Thank you very much for being a part of the show. I appreciate you guys hanging out. We got to get out of here. We're already $1:10 into the show. Great topics, great conversation. Lakers got the Bulls tonight. I didn't really spend that much time. Chicago's won 4 or 5 in a row. How many have they won in a row? Put it in my notes here. 4 or 5 in a row. The Chicago Bulls have played. It's a 5 o'clock tip-off. I actually think tonight's a really tough game for the Lakers. If I'm being honest with you, they're on a 4-game win streak. They're 6-4 in their last 10 games. Bulls playing well. So the Lakers got a challenge on their hands tonight. Let's see if the Lakers can get the win. Right after the game, I'll be doing the post-game show. Thank you all for being here. Hope you guys have a great rest of your Monday, and I'll see you guys tonight.